I-105.5 and 1450 AM. We're catching up with Coventry Councilor Hillary Lima on the eve of the referendum to decide the budget.
Welcome.
From 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. Hi there.
Hey, how's it going, John?
We have a lot to talk about and very little time to do it. But it's a big day, and it's an important day, and people need to get out to vote.
Yes, I thank you for having me on. I wanted to come on and talk about some of the important information and basics of this year's proposed budget by the Town Council and School Committee, so people can make the most educated decision possible.
Madam Councilor, you have the floor.
So the proposed budget has a tax levy increase of 2.75%. And for those who want to hear more about what that boils down to and how it'll affect their home personally, the new property tax rate, should this budget pass, would be $19.73 per $1,000 of residential value. And for comparison's sake, the current year's tax rate is $19.40 per $1,000. The main pieces that people should understand in terms of what this budget provides, because we always hear, well, why should I pass this? Or what does this budget include? What does it mean? What's different? The biggest pieces that people should remember about this budget are, number one, infrastructure and capital improvement. This is a budget that funds the capital improvement line items on both the school side and the town side for the first time in probably half a dozen years. And this is, of course, is going to be working in tandem with ARPA funds, the federal relief funds that we've received due to the pandemic. This budget is all about building back Coventry, making improvements. Just on Monday night, the council unanimously approved using ARPA funds to paint the Trestle Bridge, which is an eyesore in this town. It's a bridge that we all drive under, sometimes multiple times a day, and it's considered kind of a symbol of entering Coventry. So that's super important. The other piece is we're also investing in Parks and Rec. In 2020, at the start of the pandemic, when it was time to pull together a budget, the council had made a decision to really decimate the funding of Parks and Rec, given the financial constraints that the pandemic presented. This budget puts funding back into Parks and Rec so that we can have more programming, we can have more supported programming, improvements to our facilities, improvements to the technology and the equipment that maintain our facilities, overall becoming more of a place that's attractive for those who participate in sports or recreational activities, and also facilities that other leagues or private sports leagues would want to rent, and also be a source of revenue generation for the town. So we're also looking at that as well. Of course, this budget also adds the positions, as people have talked about, assistant town manager and deputy finance director. The assistant town manager piece, people have asked me, do we really need an assistant town manager? Well, this position actually exists in many forms in other towns that are similar in population and size, but under a different name. It might be chief of staff, it might be director of administration. And this position is going to allow us to increase our bandwidth to be able to respond to more constituent concerns, do more strategic planning, be more transparent, get more information out to the public, and also work with department heads to improve operations. So that's huge. The other position, deputy finance director, this council has expressed many times that fiscal stability, responsibility, and transparency is of the utmost importance moving forward. It's even the number one pillar of our strategic plan is financial stability. So adding the deputy finance director is adding another professional to that department to ensure that the town is on the right track moving forward, to ensure that we have strong financials, that we move towards strong financials, because we're not perfect, but we're trying to work toward that, and also provide that department more support to make sure that we're meeting our deadlines and staying on track, and being compliant with state requirements.
During the budget hearings, you were one of the proponents of making a solid commitment to capital development. Of course, the school department has asked for capital improvements toward all 7 of their schools. Well, there's also a crying need for capital development and spending to take care of the infrastructure on the municipal side as well. Can we talk about that for a minute?
Sure. So there's lists from multiple departments on the town side of needs that we have. That comes from the town in general. It comes from Department of Public Works. It comes from the Department of Parks and Recreation, and that's ranging anywhere from purchasing emergency generators for town hall, so that way if there's ever a storm and we lose power, the town can still function. We currently don't have that. There, improvements to Department of Public Works equipment, facilities, vehicles, all things that have been put off for years and just can't wait any longer. There's also talk about investment for capital improvement with Parks and Recreation. There's decisions to be made about installing playgrounds around town. We don't have any playgrounds, or barely any, for a community that's made up of families. And it's time we make an investment in playgrounds, in tennis courts, pickleball courts, basketball courts. And the same goes for other facilities like the community center. Well, I say the community center, but the building where Parks and Rec is housed over at Payne Field. That floor has not been replaced in years, and there's a lot of events that take place there in summer camp. And then also the big one that everybody talks about that I myself am very committed to addressing is roads. Roads. We need to take a serious look at spending some of our capital improvement funding or ARPA funding towards the improvement of our roads, our sidewalks, our bridges. It's time that we should be able to drive on at least some of our main thoroughfares here in Coventry without, gripping for dear life and wincing as we go through potholes. The winter hasn't been kind to our roads this year, and it hasn't been kind in many years. And it's time we take care of them and make that investment and start strategizing and doing regular maintenance in this town.
This is going to be a little bit off the track, but I think it bears speaking about for just a little bit. Many of the roads that we're talking about are actually state roads, state highways. And a mutual friend of ours, Chris Poplawskis, is coming in, the city council president, Cranston, is coming in to do a session with me a little bit later on this week. And I'm going to ask him about Route 2, especially as it goes from, say, Garden City back toward the West Warwick line. What kind of movement are you seeing, if any, from the state to try to get some roads, some state-owned roads in town taken care of?
I mean, it's tough. You hear Peter Alviti talk about they have their plan, their roadworks plan, and roads and bridges are on a certain schedule. I, for one, am super frustrated, particularly with Centerville Road, which is the main artery for Coventry residents on the eastern side to get over to Route 2, Bald Hill Road, and over to the highway on ramps by AAA and Kent Hospital. That is incredibly decrepit. And it's been that way since I was a kid. And for whatever reason, that road isn't on the list to be done until 2027. So I don't know. I don't know what kind of grading system goes into deciding which state roads get done in quickly or which get done later in a schedule. But I will say that Council President Poplawskis and I collaborated, and I did with some other municipalities, about passing a resolution to encourage the General Assembly to take on maintenance of state road sidewalks. Right now, the state maintains state roads. They are in charge of trimming back shrubbery or cleaning or removing snow and sand off of the sidewalks on those state roads, but they're not responsible for maintaining those sidewalks. So this is an effort led by our DPW director, and the council unanimously passed a resolution here in Coventry to ask the state to take back that responsibility, because we have enough trouble maintaining our own town roads and town sidewalks as it is. So it makes sense for the state to take that back.
Let's get back to the referendum, of course, which is the most pressing issue in town. Let's talk the where's and when's. It's 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Thursday. The 5 places are St. Francis Church in District 1. I'm going to test my memory now. It's the
District 2.
Community Resources Center in District 2.
No. So the polling locations are St. Francis Church in District 1, Coventry Town Hall for District 2, Club Jogues for District 3, the Coventry Resource and Senior Center for District 4, and the Westwood Estates Clubhouse for District 5. And that's from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. You can go cast your vote.
And it's not a very difficult thing. It's not going to take oodles of time.
It's one bubble you fill in. You head to the polls between that time frame on Thursday, May 26th, and fill in the bubble of your choice, and then you can be on with your day. But it's super important to participate. Like I've talked with you about before, we have over 35,000 people in this town, and historically less than 3,000 people have participated in this vote.
When this originally was developed and they went from the original financial town meeting form to the all-day referendum form, the school of thought was that giving residents 13 hours to cast a ballot instead of showing up on a Tuesday night and being there for 3.5 hours before you could vote was a healthy thing. We're not sure that that's happening, are we?
Yes, I want to make it clear that, and I've said this before, this isn't the town council's town. This isn't the school committee's town. This is our town. This is Coventry's community. And I would love to see record turnout this Thursday from our residents and our voters to show participation in this process and to show that they are invested in their community.
5 minutes of your day, maybe. When I voted in West Warwick last week, it took 7 minutes to go in, register, cast my ballot, and get out. 7 minutes. Pretty good investment for a resident to be able to do that and just get up, cast your ballot, and leave.
100%. The future of Coventry is at a crossroads, and we need the public to participate, and we need to keep moving forward in the right direction.
Hillary Lima, thank you once again.
Thanks, John.
I-105.5 and 1450 AM.